Okay. I think, all right, everyone. We are going to get started. First of all, you should have gotten a notification when you logged in that this meeting is being recorded. Feel free to keep your video camera on or turn your video camera off, but it is being recorded. We'll upload it to YouTube for those who like maybe are working a job tonight or can't otherwise make it to the meeting. If you haven't yet, again, please type your name and referee number into the chat box for attendance purposes. Let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shane Buys. I'm with the Metro Detroit Athletic Officials. I'm on the board. I help out with various logistics, setting up meetings, that kind of thing. I do football and I do basketball, so I'm interested to hear what Bob Foss has to say tonight on some things. But let me remind all of us of some deadlines. September 20th is the deadline for things such as your schedule. Your white hat should put in the crew schedule and who the crew is. You have to go into the MHSAA under your login and type in, what your preferred position is. You have to type in whatever schedule you worked. Tournament availability dates. I think I logged in and they are all unknown until you mark whether or not you are, known. And so if it gets up to the MHSAA and your crew's like selected for a second round game and you are marked as not available or unknown, your crew's probably going to have to find a replacement. So this is when we talk about taking care of your business. These are the things to go in and do. Now, I'll stay on at the end after Bob's done, and I'll kind of walk anybody through who's maybe new to the area, who's not familiar, where to click on the MHSAA website, and I can walk everybody through that. So, again, September 20th, super important. One of those requirements is being a member in good standing with the local association. Our association, part of that requirement is to attend a couple meetings. We know not everybody can, and we work with you on that. We have you maybe watch the video, that kind of stuff. But because that's part of our requirement, we have to zero out our member in good standing every sports season and reload everybody up because it's not just a member in good standing with the association, but it's the association for that sport. So you should get a notification later this week, early next week. Hey, the MIGs statuses have been updated on the MHSAA website. Make sure yours is accurate. It happens every year, and I hate to see it happen. We send out reminders, check your MIGs, check your MIGs, check your MIGs, and then a day or two after the due date, they say, hey, why wasn't I a member in good standing? I paid my dues, I went to a couple of meetings, etc. The short answer is because mistakes happen. There's a few hundred of us in the association, and sometimes the wrong button gets flipped, or sometimes the right button got flipped, but the website didn't take it. Mistakes happen. We need your help in double checking your status. And you will get an email notification for when that happens. Okay, now, while we're letting a couple more people log on, and before I turn it over to a couple of these signers, just for a couple of quick announcements, I want to have a little bit of fun. If you are watching this on an iPhone, a computer screen, or otherwise, and you see me talking, you might see that I got a very nice horseshoe mustache going on here. And so I'm launching a poll. And the poll is very easy. It's like, what do you think of the horseshoe mustache? Love it? You wear it better than Hulk Hogan? Or sorry, mate, it's only cool if you're sitting on a Harley. I'm looking for some honest replies here. Having a bit of fun with it.
How's your wife feel about it?
You know something? Because this is being recorded for posterity, I'm going to keep that to myself. With that said, my crew chief said, Shane, if you wear that, we're not going to, we're getting fines. You gotta take care of that. So, all right, it's logging in. We got about 2/3 people logging in. This isn't for, anything fun, so I'm just going to end it right here. I'm going to share the results. And, whoo, this was a real election, 61% yay to 39% nay. That's a landslide. All right. I don't care if you clicked it because it was a pity click, for yes. I accept it and I appreciate the help. And then the other thing that I want to share, and I'm going to make sure that this goes to the entire meeting. I punched in a link to an article written about Rick Massa. He's been officiating for 47 years. They did a wonderful write-up about how he started off in baseball, some of the people he's worked with, his philosophy. I think all of us have had some kind of interaction, even if we're brand new with Rick. He is one of the rare individuals. I don't know if he's on. Not only is he an excellent official, but he is an excellent official who loves to give back to newer officials. And, I've had great experiences with him when I was just starting off. I've had great experience with him when I've been more established. And he's in his 47th year. Maybe if we're nice to him, we can get him to, work for a few more years and stick around with us. But if you're interested in reading that article, look it up, Google it. I think Wayne State is in wayne.edu's news section a little bit, but I'm sure if you Google Massa and Wayne State and referee, the article will pop up if you can't get the link from the chat box. So, Rick, are you on even today? I don't even know if you're on.
Yeah, I'm here, Shane. Thanks
Awesome.
for the kind words.
You're welcome. Did you have to pay anybody to get that article? Did they approach you about that, or?
The article was written by Bill Roos, who was at one time a prep writer for the Free Press News. And Bill and I passed each other on the street about 2 months ago down on Wayne State's campus. And I yelled out, Bill, and he turned around and he goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I work here." And I said, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "I work here." And one thing led to another, and they wanted to do an article just prior to this kickoff classic this week. And so that was my 15 minutes of fame.
Well, it's if we get nothing else after 47 years of officiating, I'll take those 15 minutes of fame. Know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, well, Rick, again, I appreciate working with you on a personal level, and I think all of us do as well. So
I've had so many kind comments this week. It's been really nice.
They've been earned. All right. So now we got those two very important things out of the way. One sounds like the horseshoe mustache might be a keeper, and Rick's acknowledgement as well. So with that said, as a reminder, September 20th. If you can take care of your business today, take care of your business today. Watch for the MIGS announcement when it's updated. I'll stay online at the end of the meeting to kind of show people where to click, because it can be a little funky if you're not familiar with the MHSAA website. With that said, I saw Gary log on and I saw Bob log on. Gary, if you are able to unmute yourself first, are there any updates? Are you looking for any particular dates or areas or any kind of reminders about keeping our arbiter blocks up to date, calendars, that kind of thing?
Thanks. Yeah, it sounds like I'm predictable, Shane. But yeah, I mean, pretty much just the status. And if you're out there and you're still looking for dates, please keep your arbiter blocks up to date, even if you're on a crew. If you decline a game from somebody or turn back a game or whatever, go in and block your dates, because a lot of times they don't carry through to each different assigner. And just make sure that's taken care of, because I do have quite a few crews that are looking for sub-varsity and varsity help. And obviously, the first thing I do is look at arbiter, say, hey, who's available? And the worst case scenario for me is I send a name over to somebody and say, hey, how about this guy or gal? And then the crew says, oh yeah, I just called him or her, and oh yeah, they're not able to work. That crew's probably not going to call you back again if I do it again, even if I do give you the game out or give you the date out. So just for your own self, please do that. And the last thing I have really is they're still, again, filling in dates, filling in holes. I'm sure Bob will do the same thing, but make sure you and your crew goes through and checks and make sure you have the green arrow checked on your football box from the MHSAA before you work any games. That's a requirement that needs to be done. If you go out and work a game and you're not, haven't done it, basically it's three things to do: register, watch the non-sport specific video, and watch the football video. You do those three things, you get your check box. And once you've done that, you can go work high school games. But as again, it was new last year by the MHSA. If you don't have that and you go out and work a high school game, there's ramifications for you, your crew, and the schools, because you're as if you watch the video, you're putting your partners, the teams, the schools, everybody at risk by not doing that. So that is part of the registration process.
And
Other than that, I'm good. I'll let Bob talk before he falls asleep in his lounge chair. That's why I turned my video off. Nobody can see me. But other than that, I'm good. If anybody has any questions, it's gwag70@gmail. Let me know. We're still filling in crews and filling the holes, so probably we'll be doing all year long.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
If you're looking for opportunities, that's how you get those opportunities, is keeping that up to date. And again, I want to hammer that home, Bob. That's absolutely right. While September 20th might be the due date for a lot of those other MHSAA items for postseason tournament consideration, to work a game, you have to be registered. You have to have watched the rules meeting, and you have to have watched the non-sports rules meeting. And why is that so important to be registered and have watched those? That is because the MHSAA has some insurance and has various liability coverage that as long as the officials are all registered, you're going to be protected. Your crew is going to be protected. If something goes sideways and goes haywire in your game and you aren't registered and you don't have that kind of protection, it's bad news for everybody. So that is why that is one of those non-negotiable things. So with that, transition over to Bob. Bob, you got anything to add on other than what Gary already said?
Can you hear me, Shane?
We can hear you.
I second everything Gary had to say. If anybody has any questions, feel free to call me, send me an email, and I hope everybody has an injury-free season. Thank you.
All right. Succinct and pithy. I like it. All right. And with that said, speaking of succinct and pithy, Bob Foss, I'll turn it over to you. We tested it out. You should be able to share the screen. I might turn my video off and I'll mute, but I'm here to assist, and take it away.
All right. We've only have a couple of topics tonight. Kind of came up from working scrimmages that this may be important to talk about. So, oops, let me get back here. After those topics, we have a little bit of video to review, but really this meeting is for you. So if you've got some concern or questions, rules, mechanics, anything that we can discuss as a group, go ahead and bring that up after these first two topics of discussion. Before we get to those, wanted to talk about huddle for just a second. There's been a little bit of confusion, and now I guess I'll just leave it at that. The MHSAA has created a new account, and we had to add all of our members. I was fortunate enough to be the first person to start to add members about 10 days ago or so. So it was really easy for me to get everybody in there. Once the other associations across the state started adding people, it gets to be a little more cumbersome. A few days after I added everybody, somebody who has administrative capabilities like I have deleted all of our members from the huddle group.
Nice.
Which was about 300 people that I had added. Adding them the first time, like you said, was not that difficult. But trying to go back and add 300 people one at a time was time consuming. And there are a number out of that 300 who have never been in huddle ever. So I recognize some of those names, certainly recognize a bunch of people who use Huddle, but there are probably others that I didn't get added who belong in there. So if you're on this call, odds are you're probably somebody who's already has access to Huddle, again, in the new MHSA football officials account. But if there's somebody on your crew who should have access, just let me know. All you gotta do is send me an email. Good? Just give me one okay, somebody who's still unmuted.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
And
Two
it wasn't
things
me that deleted those accounts, was it?
you can't.
Okay, good.
There's, I don't know, 20 or 30 people across the state who can. This account is shared with every official in the state now, as opposed to just the 4 other associations that shared our account for the past 4 or 5 years, however long it's been.
Tony, Bob knows better than to give you the ability to do that.
He's a smart man.
Well, we'll cover that another time. So the 2 topics we thought we talked about, defenseless receivers, just for a little extra clarification. Again, this came up at questions with coaches at the scrimmage and questions with other officials for that matter. And then we'll review penalty enforcement a little bit. So starting with defenseless receivers, and this was something that I was concerned about originally in creating a new definition of what a defenseless receiver is. They've also created limitations on how that defenseless receiver can be contacted. We're all aware of that concept, right? That definition is limited to the limitations of the contact is also limited to defenseless receivers. So basically what they've done is limited contact to a defenseless receiver, similar to how we can create a blindside block. But those limitations are limited to defenseless receivers. We can still hit other defenseless receivers. I'm sorry, defenseless players in a manner that you can't hit a defenseless receiver. So defenseless receiver contact is limited to open hands, like a blindside block, or attempting to make a wrap-up tackle, or incidental contact. Other defenseless players, a quarterback who's in the act of passing or just after they pass the ball, a runner who's, let's say, runner's in the grasp, right, of a tackler. Those players are defenseless, but we can still hit them with a shoulder to the chest. We can't do that to a defenseless receiver. Kids up to catch a pass and you blow them up, which would have been perfectly legal, not targeting, right in the chest, shoulder to the chest. That would be an illegal hit now. But if the quarterback has his arm up and passing and defensive player runs right through him and puts a chest to the shoulder, that's a legal hit. You can do that. Am I saying anything that is contrary to what anybody else thought?
Bob, I'm interested with all those scrimmages that happened August 17th. Did anybody have anything like that? Did anybody have decisions to make, or did it seem like to you and anybody else who's maybe working scrimmages that the teams kind of are understanding that change? Because the scrimmages I worked, I didn't have, there was no plays like that to have to decide on.
I had none either, only had questions from coaches and other officials. I'm going to take that as nobody had a play that fit the defenseless receiver criteria. Good.
I had one. Kid got blown out real bad.
Was it a receiver?
Yeah, oh yeah. He got laid out and was seeing stars, and three of us had a flag on it. So that was a good deal.
What was the flag? Was it a high hit? Was it targeting, or was it just a hit against a defenseless receiver?
It was a hit against a defenseless receiver. He just blew him right out, and it was close to a targeting too, because the heads came mighty close, but it was definitely a blowout. You know, he blew him out, laid the kid right out.
Bob, can you remind us, what is the penalty enforcement signal for that?
It's a personal foul.
Just a personal foul, so just not like personal foul blindside or personal foul face mask, but just a personal foul.
Right. And if you're lucky enough to have a microphone, you could say personal foul, excessive hit against a defenseless receiver. For clarification for all those fans who think that hit looks perfectly legal, because it's going to be perfectly legal when they're watching games on Saturday and Sunday on ABC or ESPN. I'm referring to college or NFL. This is different than what they will see someplace else, and different than what it was last year for that matter. Good with that? Good with that. All right, Tony,
Yeah, I'm here.
ready to roll. I got your PowerPoint up. If you want me to scroll through it for you, I'll do it. Or if you want me to give you the screen, you can have it.
Let me see if, I think I can share my screen, but let me try.
Are we looking at your screen? No,
I don't know.
actually, somehow viewing Jack Morris's screen.
That was already there.
Hey, Jack, would you go down to the bottom of your computer and under like kind of like one of the share screen buttons, you can, and I might be able to stop you sharing your screen too. Let me try.
Can you guys see my screen now?
You want me to hit stop share?
I can switch from Jack
Here
to
we
Tony.
go.
All right. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with this screen, so forgive me.
Jack,
It's
you
all
should be
good.
leading this presentation anyways.
No. I just have so many questions about that we'll get into later, but
I got a last one that I still don't know. I do, but I don't. So let's
rock
get
on.
into it. Yeah. Okay, so can people see my screen? Bob, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So for discussion, we're about to show you a number of slides outlining the changes to Rule 10.10-4. And a lot of this is just providing context to what was in the MHSA online meeting and shown by Will at the Groves meeting, if you were there or saw the online meeting. Couple things to remember. Don't overthink it. It's not that different. All but one is still kind of exists. It's just the one that's different. And that one is like the penalty enforcement from behind the line. There are a couple tiny little nuances, but it's really not that big of a difference. First, let's get something straight. And umpires especially, I'm sure you guys all know this, but please, a spot is a spot. It's not a line. So if you're going from one hash to the other, if the penalty occurs on the left hash and the previous spot is on the right hash, go back to the right hash and walk it off. Previous spot enforcement means from the exact dot or nearest hash where the last snap took place. Spot of the foul means the exact dot or nearest hash where the foul occurred, hopefully where the flag ends up. Succeeding spot means from the exact dot or nearest hash where the next snap would take place if there were no foul. Move backward or forward from that dot or nearest hash if outside of it. Pretty clear, but please do that. It's so easy to just kind of march backwards from where all the action happened. So pay attention to the red arrows indicating no change to the enforcement spot. And do you notice anything relative to what it has changed? So we've got all these different changes to the rule, but most of them, nothing has changed. Where you go past the line of scrimmage, nothing's really changed. It's when there's a foul behind the line of scrimmage or the run ends behind the line of scrimmage, you're basically just saying, if choosing between the old way or the previous spot, it sure looks like whichever enforcement helps the offense the most or punishes it is the least is the one that you would choose, right? So you'd say, again, don't overthink it, but be smart. This doesn't apply to dead ball fouls. Dead ball fouls are the same as they've always been. And the basic spots that would be the goal line for stuff that occurs in the end zone, those haven't changed either. So if the offense fouls behind the line of scrimmage, run ends behind the line of scrimmage, where's the penalty enforced from? The previous spot. Now notice how in this slide that the action took place on the left hash and the spot of the snap took place in the middle of the field. Walk it back from the middle of the field, please.
Tony, can I slow you down for a second? Can you go back to that?
Yep.
I mean, I've already seen this slide, so I'm following along with you at the same speed that you're going.
Mm-hmm.
But for anybody else,
You want me
to
to
make
slow down a
sure
little bit?
I'm slowing you down in case somebody else is hesitant to ask you to slow down.
Okay.
because certainly as we go along here, if somebody, what do we have, 68 people on here, if you have a question, you're probably not the only person with that question. And
Okay.
as much as we wanted to hold questions when Will was talking, we can have interaction here on this Zoom. So
yeah, please do unmute yourself and speak up if you say, whoa, wait, what exactly do you mean by that? Or well, I think it should be this or anything. Please do. This is pretty clear. Just remember, when you say it out loud, you're saying, holding offense, 10-yard penalty from the 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, repeat second down. Where's the previous spot? It's where the ball was snapped last, not the vertical line behind where the foul took place.
Am I also correct in saying, Tony, that even though the rule book uses the term basic spot, the basic spot is now enforcement spot, and it means the same thing?
In this case, it would be, I would think. I mean, the basic spot is depending on the situation or which rule. It's the succeeding spot, the previous spot, or the spot of the foul. Am I wrong?
No, I was actually wrong in saying that. Never mind. If we can, Shane, if you can delete my my comment there in,
Right.
In the replay of this.
Wouldn't that be
Video,
nice if
that'd
we
be
could do
great.
that? Strike that from the record. Okay, so pay attention to the red arrows. So basically, the only thing that's changed is in what situations do we go to the previous spot as opposed to what we did last year. Okay. And so if it's going to be a 20-yard penalty instead of a 10-yard penalty against the offense, we're making it a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, or a 15-yard penalty if it's clipping or blocking below the waist or something like that. Same thing with if the run ends behind the line of scrimmage and the offense fouled, then we're going from the previous spot. Because we're not going from the end of the run if the same team that committed the foul is the same team that that ran the ball. So you're not going to have 1st and 25 like we would last year. Most of the stuff that happens past the line of scrimmage or beyond the line of scrimmage is unchanged.
Zoom meeting. No.
Okay, so if choosing between the old way or the previous spot, just remember you're not penalizing the offensive team more than it should. So choose that previous spot in those types of cases. Don't overthink it. Be smart. Like some of the stuff hasn't changed. So is that a decent pace, Bob?
Yeah,
Is it
go
a little
ahead.
bit better?
Yep,
Okay.
sounds good.
I just didn't want, I kind of went a little faster because I didn't want to hold people up.
Keep
So
going.
if the offense fouls behind the line of scrimmage, run ends behind the line of scrimmage, where's the penalty enforced? It's the previous spot. So again, in this anagram or in this mechanogram, you go back to the middle of the field where the snap took place and march back 10 yards. If it's a holding penalty or something that's only 10 yards, or if it's a personal foul, go back 15 yards. Pretty clear?
Yep.
Offense fouls behind the line of scrimmage and run ends beyond the line of scrimmage. So since the offense was the one that fouled in previous last year, you would have penalized from the spot of the foul. Now, because the run ended across the line of scrimmage, you're not going to make it that 1st and 30 or whatever it is, depending on how far back the foul took place. You're going to go to the previous spot one more time.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
This is for everyone else. I'm just seeing like this tiny box at the top of my screen with your PowerPoint, and the rest of the screen is just black. It says you are viewing Jack Morris's screen. Is that what everyone else is looking at too?
At the top of your screen, Jim, next to where it says you're viewing Jack Morris's screen, it should say view options.
Yeah.
And if you click that, it should give you the option to choose between Tony and Jack.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that.
I just have side by side mode, which I guess helps. But anyway, all right.
What's wrong with my screen?
Hey, Jack, maybe you should log out and log back in.
The hell, it's hard enough to log in the first time. I mean,
Jack, no one wants to see your search history.
Well, let's see. Hold on. Request. Okay, exit full screen. Let me try this.
Somebody typed in, said, choose side by side gallery.
how's that?
Oh, I see why I didn't do that. It did that when I still had control. All right, never mind.
Just let me know when we should move on.
Go on.
Oh, okay. So the offense fouls behind the line of scrimmage, run ends beyond the line of scrimmage. We go back to the previous spot because, again, what we would have done in years past, we would have penalized from behind the line of scrimmage. So we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to go back to the previous snap spot. Offense fouls beyond the line of scrimmage and run ends behind the line of scrimmage. Isn't that what I just did? What was the one before?
No, it was opposite.
Oh, okay. I see what. So offense fouls beyond the line of scrimmage, run ends behind the line of scrimmage. So again, we're going to the previous spot because again, we're not going to have it 1st and 25 or 1st and 30 or however far back. In this mechanogram, it was 9 yards back. So that would have been 1st and 29 or something like that. Okay. Pretty
Good.
clear, everybody?
I like it.
Offense fouls beyond the line of scrimmage and the run ends beyond the line of scrimmage and behind the foul. This is not changed. You would
Out of the foul.
force it from the spot or succeeding spot. Or end of the run is what it says in this mechanogram. But I put down a little thing there that says no change. It's not different. So again, most of this stuff is if it would have previously been a long penalty against the offense that goes back way backwards, that's what's different. We go back to the spot.
So even though they took out the all but one principle from the rule book, the enforcement is still the same as all but one.
Right. But read these, but make sure you know the scenarios. So go through 10-4 pretty closely, because you don't want to end up like saying like, geez, I think it should be this, but you're not sure. So please do consult the rule book as well as pay attention in the meetings. So we just did that one.
Yep.
Defense fouls behind the line of scrimmage and run ends behind the line of scrimmage. Anybody would care to guess where that's going to be? From the previous snap, because it helps the offense more. Right. So this is kind of an opposite deal. It's basically not rewarding the defense for dirty hands making a good play behind the line of scrimmage. So in years past, if you had a 5-yard face mask, and if it was 1st and 10 in this mechanogram that's 8 yards back, you'd have 1st and 13 in years past. Now you'd have 1st and 5 if you had a 5-yard face mask behind the line of scrimmage. That makes sense?
Yes.
Defense fouls behind the line of scrimmage. The run ends beyond the line of scrimmage. Now, because the run ended beyond the line of scrimmage, in years past, we would have gone succeeding spot. And because the succeeding spot choice is better than the previous spot for the offense, that's where it's going to be. Enforce the penalty from the succeeding spot. Okay. But notice every time it's moving up or backwards from a dot, not the middle of the field, not the hash. It's just wherever it is. If it's a succeeding spot, it's the right hash. If it's a spot of the snap, it's the middle. And if it's a spot of the foul, it would be on the left hash in this mechanogram. But this one's succeeding spot, we're on the right hash moving forward.
Got it.
Defense fouls beyond the line of scrimmage and run ends behind the line of scrimmage. If the theme holds, then we're going to be enforcing from the previous spot, right? Because we're not going to have, in this case, we're not going to have something that's going to be 1st and 13 instead of 1st and 5 for like a 5-yard face mask in this type of situation. Okay, pretty clear, pretty easy.
Good.
Man, these things just keep going, don't they? Defense fouls beyond the line of scrimmage, run ends beyond the line of scrimmage and behind the foul. So the run ends behind the foul. That's going to be from the end of the run, I think.
Right.
You're right.
Yes.
That's right.
Good guess by me. All right. So that hasn't changed. So you see that whenever the enforcement's up here, it's pretty much no change from it's a rewording of the rule number, but there's no change in enforcement for those types of plays.
Gotcha.
Okay, so here's a little cheat sheet if you want a screen print, or anybody who wants to contact me, I can send it to you. This was courtesy of Andrew Hayner, who put this together for his own crew, but I'm sure he'd be happy, in the interest of everybody getting it right, to have this little cheat sheet. Okay, so you got it basically just outlines everything we just talked about.
Tony, if you or Andrew were to email that to me, I can be sure to include it in an email to the association, giving credit where credit is due, and or put it on our website too.
Oh, sure, no problem. No.
Or if you're on a phone, just screenshot it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you, I mean, but if you want to print it, we might as well give people the opportunity to do that. Okay. But once you start doing games, I've already done some games this past weekend, and it took my umpire a minute to do it, but by the second quarter, we were right as rain. It's really not that difficult. So I wanted to talk about this play from the rules meeting. And I was interested in the answer myself, because I want to know why a face mask foul on a run where the runner coughs up the ball forward and it goes out of bounds, why the enforcement is not from the succeeding spot. Does anybody want to handle that?
Bounds, right?
What's that?
The succeeding spot's out of bounds, in effect, and that's why we throw bean bags, right? He fumbled the ball and it went forward. He fumbled the ball, so you have a bean bag down, right?
Yeah.
So that's the enforcement spot where he lost possession of the ball, right?
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out the language behind it, because 10-4-5E says it is the succeeding spot where a foul by B occurs beyond the line of scrimmage and the run ends beyond the line of scrimmage.
So in other words, the run ended beyond the line of scrimmage at the 40.
At the 40.
Yeah. That's what
And
the succeeding spot was at the 30.
Yes.
I'm reading the same thing as you, Tony.
I just want to get it right. I'm asking, I'm not telling.
Is there a distinction between the succeeding spot and the dead ball spot?
Yes, there's a 10-yard difference between, well, no, I'm sorry. The succeeding spot in this case is the dead ball spot.
Okay. You sure it's not where he lost possession?
Gotta be.
The end of the run is where he lost possession.
Exactly. The end of the run is the 40. That's where would be enforced from.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
the end of the run is the succeeding spot, you're saying, Jack?
In this instance, because he fumbled the ball, he lost possession of the ball. The player did.
But
I see that as the enforcement spot.
short of the foul, the 30 is the succeeding spot. It's the foul that makes the 40
The enforcement spot.
the enforcement spot.
That's my.
I mean, and that may be the NFHS interpretation, and if that's what they're telling us when there's a fumble, okay. I don't see that in the rule book.
Wasn't that always the case? When you had a run that ended in a fumble, you didn't throw the bag just for the hell of it. You threw the bag because that's the spot. If you have a foul, it was going to be enforced from.
Now, it was a spot where a foul could be enforced from, but not always. I mean, if he fumbled the ball backwards.
Well, at least it marked the end of the run.
Exactly.
It's definitely the end of the run. There's no question about that.
I mean, by rule, the end of the run is the enforcement spot, not.
Well, by what rule?
Spot.
Yeah, help me with that rule.
Yeah, what rule number would that be?
Okay.
10-4-5E says it's a succeeding spot. 10-4-8 says something different, but gives way to 10-4-5.
So while we're discussing this, no one is arguing whether or not it should be from where the ball went out of bounds or where the run ended, as far as where the penalty should be enforced from. just a reminder, everybody, what we are now trying to figure out is the train or the trail of rules.
Yeah,
that
that's all,
clear-
all I'm saying,
Yeah, that
because
clearly say
we
that.
need to explain it. So if you read 10-4-8, the basic spot is a spot where the related run ends for a foul which occurs during a running play as defined in 10-3-2. Okay, good, perfect. That answers that question. But then it goes on to say, unless the provisions of 10-4-2 through 10-4-7 or 10-5 apply. So why wouldn't they apply? That's my question.
Guys, if I could jump in, 10-3-3. The end of the run is where the ball becomes dead in the runner's possession.
There
Would
you
that
go.
be the key?
The ball wasn't dead till it went out of bounds.
But it says here, where the ball becomes dead in the runner's possession.
In
But
the
it didn't
running
become
possession.
dead.
Well, the next sentence is in 10-3-3-B. The end of the run is where the runner loses possession if his run is followed by a loose ball.
Hello.
That's the end of the run. Yes.
Yes. So
Okay.
the fumble is the end of the run. We're on
But we
board
already
with
knew that.
So that's
But
where the-
that's why, isn't that why then that it would be enforced from where he lost the ball?
correct.
Because that is the end of the run.
Yep.
Aren't we asking the question, why is there a suggestion that the ball will be put in play at the succeeding spot versus at the basic spot?
Yeah, 10-4-5 says the basic spot is the succeeding spot for a foul by B when the runner related run ends beyond the line of scrimmage.
So this run
That's
ended
pretty
beyond
simple.
at the-
In player possession.
Where does it say that?
It doesn't, but it's implied.
Guys, this is Bob Williams here. So the reason why we throw a beanbag beyond the line of scrimmage, because behind the line of scrimmage, the beanbag doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
But in front of the line of scrimmage, we throw that beanbag in the event that they lose possession of the ball, because that becomes, for the offense, a basic spot when the ball is loose and there's a foul committed. So or I shouldn't say when the ball is loose, but when that goes back to that, and it says that in the rule. I don't have the rule number right now, but I can find it at some point. But you go back to the point, those kind of fouls go back to the point where you lost the ball. It can go out of bounds 50 yards down the field, but if it's unpossessed, it goes out of bounds. It comes back to where he lost possession, because that becomes the basic spot.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay.
Bob, that's exactly right, Bob.
I'm
And-
not arguing. And we're discussing, so I'm definitely not arguing. And I
Well,
said
we
at the
can-
top, I'm asking, but the language looks conflicting. That's my point.
So let's assume the ball went out of bounds 15 yards, 20 yards beyond where he lost it. They can always take the ball where it went out of bounds, right?
Yeah, they could decline the penalty.
Decline the penalty, sure.
Take the first down at the spot where it went out of bounds.
Yeah. Highly unlikely, but it's, the situation is it's to their advantage. They could always do that.
In
But
this
that's the
situation, as long as that was a first down, they'd probably decline the penalty.
Yeah, and what happened if B fouled and then subsequently B committed a foul? What am I trying to get to? Where the choice was no longer, you would go back to where the ball was fumbled, right? You wouldn't give the ball to B because they recovered it. You would give the ball to A where he fumbled the ball, right?
Right.
And enforce it from there. So I think that is one thing in this whole enforcement thing that's hasn't changed. Like Bobby said, it's where he loses possession You can't then change it to where the foul went out of bounds. That's just the way I read
And
it,
Well,
And I
I,
think-
I understand your interpretation, Jack and Bob.
but I'm wrong.
Well, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying, help me find how that interpretation is supported in the rule book, because I can't find it in the rule book or the case book.
Well, the enforcement spot would be in, let's assume he didn't fumble, okay? Where the enforcement spot would be from where he got tackled, right?
But why? Why from where he got tackled?
So
That's where the ball went. That's where the ball went dead.
Yeah, that's the end of the run, right?
Well, the rule book language,
Says
that's the
succeeding
succeeding spot.
Yeah. So can't the succeeding spot be the spot of the foul? It
Can
would
be.
right?
But
And
in
that's-
this case,
No,
it's where the ball, it's where the ball went out of bounds from the fumble.
Succeeding spot is never the spot of the foul. I mean, they might coincide, but
enforcement spot, then, is,
the succeeding spot by definition is where we would next snap the ball without any penalty.
that,
I'm right there, aren't I? I mean, I
yes.
didn't look up succeeding spot in the definitions of the rule book, but I can't find it in the rule book that, I mean, it makes sense. I just can't find it in this rule book.
That's where I'm at. I couldn't find it in the Reddings guide either.
No. And I like to think I do a decent job of understanding the rules and try to share how I understand things with anybody that will listen. And if I'm confused on this one, and I actually agree with what Bob and Jack are saying, you just can't get the rule book to agree with us also.
Well, we know this rule book did get attacked by the gremlins. I'm wondering, I'm going to grab my 21 book and see if there's any difference in that language.
Okay.
You guys check out the definitions under 242, Article 9. That'd be on page 40. Is that what you guys are asking?
What page?
Page 40.
So 241, Article 9.
Spot where we're running.
I'm sorry, 241, Article 9. My bad. Yep.
All right.
Well, we know it's the end of the run. That's not in question.
So 10.5.8.
How about B?
Well,
10.5.8 states the basic spot is the spot where the related run ends or a foul which occurs during a running play. So the run ends when he lost the ball.
Correct.
So there's our justification, is it not?
242, 9B.
So the rule says to enforce from the end of the run?
yes.
That's what it says, 10.5.8, page 82.
In fact, the NFHS has an interpretation that's on its website.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah. If on-field game situation involving a loss of possession create a conflict between the end of the run or related run and the succeeding spot, game officials should apply the standard related to the end of the run as intended by the cleanup rule in Rule 10.4.8.
Oh, holy cow! That's
Well, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Jim. Do you have that on your screen?
No. Let me dig that up. It'll take a second.
I can grab that. It's on the NFHS website.
NFHS.org. And you go to football and then rule interpretations. 2023, which is down the page in the middle.
I got it. And
I got it here if you want me to share my screen, if you don't have it.
yeah, I got it.
All right. It's this italicized part, right where your
That's
cursor is.
Tony, you can.
To summarize, is that it?
That's it.
Oh, you got it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
If on-field game situations involving a loss of possession create a conflict between the end of the run and the succeeding spot, game officials should apply the standard related to the end of the run as it intended by the cleanup in Rule 10-4-8. I don't know why it just doesn't say that in Rule 10-4-8, but
Well, because they
Right.
printed it and realized that they had made a
Okay.
mistake. That's why.
Hey,
all right. Well, there you go.
football coaches write these.
Right. Okay. Well, there you go. That's why I'm glad we had this discussion. Okay, that's
Cool.
all I got, Bob.
Love it.
Is-
That's
Is this part of the clarification that was recommended that we all print off and have for our crew? Is this the specific document that they mentioned, Will McCoy at the meeting?
I don't remember exactly what he said.
He
know-
said, let's see.
I remember writing down in my
Get-
notes
get-
during the meeting, and he was
just get-
talking during the rule changes. Part of the rules presentation online is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 slides into that part of the presentation where I wrote down cleanup, and I didn't have time to write down whatever else he was saying. So it's
He's-
possible.
He mentioned get checklist from guidebook.
Hey, guys, I took a picture of that at the meeting last week, and I'm looking at the picture, and it is exactly that summarization
okay.
that was on the slide.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. Well, now we know.
So now,
The clarification is out there. It's just not in the rule book. End of the run if the offense loses possession.
There you go. Yes.
And thank you, Jack. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Jim. I think there's nobody on there that was going to enforce that from the out of bounds spot anyway. So got it cleared up. Great.
When in doubt, don't think, just do it, you know.
What do you think, you know?
That was for you, Jack.
Yeah, thank you.
Tony, you can stop share.
Hey, Shane, you there?
Okay. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about before we play with a little bit of huddle? Any other rules or scenarios or mechanics, something, anything? We got, how many people do we have?
Is there a temperature limit for everything?
Mike, was that you? If that was you trying to speak, your audio was
Can you-
very, very choppy.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's better.
Yes, that was me. I was wondering if there was a temperature limit for Thursday or on the field. A game.
Why don't you go ahead and type that in the chat, because you're sounding like a robot that's not working. How can I put that in the chat? there we go. No. There's no temperature limit for on field at game time.
Is that's changed in the last 2 years?
I think there's a heat index, Shane. There's some sort of heat index.
All right, is that what? Yeah, because Thursday we might be pushing that on certain fields, depending on what color they're painted.
Well, and I can certainly stand corrected. Help me find where that answer is, please.
That was in the same document where you'd find the lightning rule, the guideline.
Officials guidebook.
It's in the, I'm
Yeah, it's
pretty
in
sure
the
it's an
guidebook.
official's guidebook, guys,
Yeah,
but it's MHSA rule for heat index. And it does not leave it up to us. It's up to the admins to take care of it.
Does,
Yeah, even after the game starts, Gary?
Yes, it's all on the admins.
Okay. All right. Well, we may run into that on Thursday, so be.
We are definitely looking at, I've already got schools contacting me.
so Gary, if they tell us to play, we're playing. If they tell us not to play, we don't play.
Correct. We are not the heat index people. It's on the admins.
Okay.
Gary, what happens if we start and then the heat index is too high? Do we
Then you
just
stop,
stop?
just like thunder and lightning.
We
It's
wait
gotta
30
cool
minutes?
down or else you don't go.
We wait 30 minutes and then do it again, or?
Well, you don't have 30 minutes. It's, you know, but I mean, you have to give them warm up period.
Okay. So if we can wait, if it doesn't come back, then we're done and we come back tomorrow or whatever.
Whatever, yeah, and then it's back up to that. I'm trying, guys, keep going. I'm going through the guidebook right now to try and find it, but I know it's in here. There
Okay.
is a heat index.
And when we have another question, do we give additional water breaks?
Yes, we can, and we should.
Certainly. Yeah, a lull in the action, change of possession, those are good times for additional water breaks. You can typically try to shoot for, at least we typically try to shoot for a change of possession or a timeout around halfway between each quarter.
Keep an eye on the players, guys. There is no set guidelines for that. Keep an eye on the players. It's going to vary from team to team. If you got two smaller schools that have a lot of kids playing both ways, use it more often. If you got larger schools and very few kids playing both ways, it might be different.
I mean, you could, you know, have a water break between every change of possession if you wanted to.
If you wanted to, you certainly can. It's a safety rule, guys. Remember, safety rules protect the officials as well.
Yeah, if we get into a situation with a heat index problem, just try to wait it out if you can, and try to, if you can, I know Gary speaks the same way, try to get that game in that day, if at all possible, so that we don't have to try to come back tomorrow. That's just guidelines. That's all.
That's 100% guidelines. And if they don't have school the next day, you can wait forever, guys. It might suck as an official, but the bottom line is, that's thunder, lightning, or anything. If you got a delay and they do not have school the next day, you can wait forever. It's up to the administrators.
Umpires, referees, back judges who tend to be a little bit farther away from water. If we have a timeout for water, make sure you get some.
Yeah, they don't work anyway. Oh, sorry, I'm not muted.
Don't wait until you think you're thirsty.
Yeah,
get some
don't.
water.
And hydrate, guys, and just seriously, hydrate the day before and the day of. Don't wait to get there and start drinking water. Start the day before and the day of. If you got to peel out, that's a good thing.
Anybody else? Anything else?
Keep going. I'm trying to find the heat index.
Okay. So what?
One quick thing.
Yeah.
Remember at the meeting we had in Lansing, Will talked specifically for 5 minutes, when the offense is on offense and the quarterback is bobbing his head, or the offensive lineman snap down, they don't normally do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know I asked Will this question. If you construe that to be a penalty, it's on the offense. if they snap down and the defense does not go offside, we have no penalty. Is that correct what Will said?
If Will said it.
You were there, weren't you?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, well, who was I?
I was there in Bob's place.
Isn't
Bob.
that what Will said? If they got to go offside, if they don't go offside, we got no penalty. Isn't that what he said?
In so many words, yeah. I mean, yeah.
So if they snap down and they don't do it every play,
If they don't draw the defense, there's no reason to call a penalty.
Right. We have no penalty.
Yeah, I think, Bob, this is one that we frequently encounter. If there's that snap down that is clearly intended to try to draw the defense off sides.
Right.
If it doesn't draw the defense off sides, let the play go on, have a talk to with the coach. Usually this comes up in a pregame. Hey, you got anything that you might try to do that might catch us off guard? Let us know about it, please, that kind of thing. But if it is clearly a sudden shift, that snap down, I forget the exact rules reference, but it is something along the lines of the wording is clear intent to deceive the defense by doing something goofy like that. Another one is where you have the guards and the tackles, they're not down in the 3-point stance yet. And the next thing you know, there's this sudden like shift of them outward, and it draws the defense off sides, and they haven't done it all game long, and it's a 4th and 1. That's a clear intent to simply, deceive the defense to try to draw them off sides. That's not the intent of the game of football, and in the rule book, they would expect us to penalize that if it gets drawn off sides. Otherwise, let's talk to.
All right, got it. Thank you.
Excuse me, guys. I found a heat index commentary.
Go for it, Bob.
It's in the fall sports preseason guide under the heat waves handout. And on under FAQs, page 8. Number 6, who and what control, excuse me. There's a comment here, okay. Who and what control when there are multiple devices and different heat index readings at a venue. Host management makes a decision to suspend and to resume activity using those devices or systems usually relied upon at that venue.
In the group chat, I sent the policy for the heat index as well.
Thank you.
Point is, it's not under our control, correct?
Yep. That is correct. But it's good to know what it is.
Okay, shared the this huddle video with everybody with the intent that you can follow along rather than trying to watch this on my screen share, because when you watch it on my screen share, we all know that it's difficult to see. So if you can get to the 2023 holding for Tuesday meeting video in the MHSA football officials huddle group. Giving everybody a second to try to navigate to that and still be on Zoom at the same time. I'll keep it on the screen if you don't have access. Don't have that fancy voting thing like Shane had for his mustache. But next time we do this, we'll figure out how to connect the two. You're gonna have to help me with that, Shane. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, happy to help with that one. It can be a good way to keep it interactive without being too onerous.
Just everybody to take a look at play one, and we're looking at the player who's at the 45-yard line, just in front of the runner. Question is that holding or is that not holding?
Hard to tell right now, a little more. Run it. Kind of looks like it to me.
I think so.
Twisted them up.
Can you
Arms
let it
are
go?
out.
Can you let it go full speed once through?
Yes, sir.
Trying.
I don't know.
Oh,
Full
shoot,
speed
you know
looks
what?
different than slow-mo, guys.
It's right at the point of attack, and it looked like he stopped him from making the tackle. to me.
Left arm was outside the frame too.
So just having the arm outside the frame doesn't make it automatically holding, but if there's
No, not
restriction,
automatically.
right? When we have that restriction, when that defender can't turn because of that, that's the restriction that we're looking for.
He restricted him.
Foul.
Yeah, we would want to call that holding.
And
Let's
Bob, let me ask this. This is one that we kind of sometimes talk about it. The defense, he didn't give himself up. He seemed like he was trying to fight through it. He didn't like just give himself up, throw his hands up, and kind of let himself get taken out of the play. Do you take that in consideration when you're going through your thought process?
Absolutely. The defender's got to try to get away. If they're dancing with them, I mean, again, if they're not trying to get away, they're not being restricted.
He spins them around.
Again, you should be able to watch these on your own if you want to watch it at a clearer picture than watching it on Zoom. And if you're not on your phone anyways, you should be able to move back and forth between Zoom and Huddle. This play, similar concept. We're looking at I think it's the left tackle who's trying to get out in front of this play.
You talk about number 5, Bob?
It's 54.
54.
The left
And
tackle.
number 5's got some jersey, but he doesn't really restrict that guy at all. Number 54.
Yeah, he's a
up
left
there.
tackle, right?
Yeah, 54 is who we're talking about.
Yeah.
He's got a little grab. In this case, does he restrict him? That's really the question. And we can tell whether he's restricting if that defender is not able to get where he's trying to go, not because of the block, but because of
You see that right shoulder dip when he's trying to go toward the ball carrier and he's pulled out of that play by 54.
So we would call that holding.
Clearly.
Let's see. Hey, okay, well, here we go. We got some. If you're gonna type it in the chat, type the play number along with it. I like that. Type it in the chat, and we would want to call this holding. We like that for a hold. This play we're going to get 2 views of. I think this is the play. We're talking about number 2. Let me get back here real quick. I want to fix a couple things as we're going.
Yeah, two grabbed him at that point, but I think it wasn't material to the play. He was behind it. Not sure I would throw my flag on that one.
Looked like he let go as soon as he knew he was holding on.
What's
He's definitely got the hand outside, right?
to the runner? Now he grabbed him there. But
Let's watch the feet of the defender.
Eh,
Was the defender trying to get away? And is he allowed to get away?
He's allowed to get away.
I think that's enough restriction to call it a grab and restrict.
No, I don't. No autopsy, no foul.
We can make that hold. There's enough restriction there.
Bob, if I may say, if you start that play over again, the guy from the initial, right from the start, watch how the defenders is dipped down and forward. He's held early on in that play and often. So it's the foul is almost immediately he's getting held. Now he's held. And of course he can go after the guy lets go of him, he can go. So yes, I think another thing that's important is we have to come to an agreement as an association and as a leadership that when we see this, we're all calling it so that we're all doing it the same. We may not agree with sometimes of what it is, but as an association leadership, we have to be consistent across the board how we're going to call it. And the only way to handle that down is from the top, demanding that this is how we all do it.
This same video is going to be shared along with the notes. I'm going to tell you, if at any other level, trying to share the same concepts when it comes to holding, pass interference, communicating with coaches, those kinds of philosophies that they talk about at higher levels. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us. Now, when I say higher levels, we're trying to have the same philosophy. There's not the same threshold for holding in high school as there is in the NFL. But there is the same threshold for holding in high school as there is in Division 2, 3, and 1. How about 1, 2, and 3? NCAA football. Same threshold. If there's restriction and it's obvious and material and at the point of attack, you can tell by the defender's feet
At the point
that
of attack?
he's not allowed to go. And he's not allowed to go at the point of attack. You know what, I'm going to skip this one. This one you got to look at, and it's going to be hard. You're going to have to take your time with play number 6. I'm going to skip ahead. Just the video is there's actually 2 holds on that play. Talking about left tackle on this one. Up over here. Well, you can all find the left tackle.
Take down.
Sure looks like a tackle, doesn't it?
Looks like it from this angle.
Now, this isn't exactly at the point of attack, but this is so out in the open where everybody can see exactly what it is. You know, we talked about Stevie Wonder being able to see it from the back row. When it's that obvious, even though it's not point of attack, you probably have to have that flag. I mean, it's flat tackle. Skip. We're talking about the back here. This guy. See if there's any voters on this play. Play 12. Any voters, yes or no?
Kind of a double team, right?
Yeah, he's bumping, but it's not an actual double team block. It just happened. There's 2 defenders and 2 blockers.
Both above the waist.
Yes.
I don't see it.
Yeah, that one's where an end zone view might be a little bit more helpful. Just looking at that, kind of looking through the blocking action from the tackle. It looks like there's a bit of a hiccup there, but it's hard to see if there's anything too illegal there.
Hard to see any real restriction. Maybe one to pass on. It's not exactly make it be there. Let's compare the position of the quarterback and the blocker and the timing of the pass.
Right.
Probably not enough. I'll give you one more after this one. Oh, we're looking at the right guard. Is it the right guard on this play? No, my bad. Where is it? Yeah, skip. I can't find it that easy. Oh, we're talking about the left tackle. So we'll give you the left tackle from this angle, number 78. And then we'll get the end zone view, and that'll be the last one for tonight. Number 78, right here. His left hand is outside the frame of the defender, right?
Yes. Oh boy.
Bob,
His feet are pretty good.
Yeah, for what it's worth, if I was on the sideline and I'd have to defend a no call on that play, I would let the defensive line coach the head coach know that it's really hard to call holding when it looks like the defender's going backwards on roller skates. And that's what it looked like a little bit there. Yeah, the hand was outside the shoulder a little bit, but he was going one direction and that was backwards.
Defender is trying to keep outside contain, and he's able to do it, right?
Right.
The defender gets done what he's trying to do on this play.
The point is that the tackle did not look like he kept the defender from going where he wanted to go illegally.
That exactly. This would not be a hold that we would want to flag. So yeah, defensive coach is yelling holding, but that's just because that's his job, not because he actually believes that that's holding. Because when they're on offense and their guy does the same thing, they're going to say that's not holding. So we would all agree that's not holding. Send all of the, there's, what do we have, 32 plays? Send all the notes in a different video. You can compare this compilation that has no notes with the one that has, and get that sent out later tonight. Anybody have anything else? We're at an hour and a half. That seems like enough to me.
If anybody has issues with huddle access, maybe they had it, maybe they, should have it now. I'm assuming have them give you a quick email.
Yes.
I'll punch it into, can you remind everybody your email? We have it on our association website as well, but just in case.
If for some reason you want Huddle to use a different email than what you send me, make sure I'm aware. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that the email that you send me is the email that you want to log into Huddle with.
Right.
Hey, Bob, if we're going to ask ADs to send us game film or coaches, is it still MI football training then, or is it MHSA football officials?
It is MHSAA football officials.
Okay.
There actually is no MI football training anymore. That does not exist.
Yeah, well, I've got about 500 cards to throw out then.
Question, please.
True story.
Yep.
Shane, Bob. Previously, I don't remember how this landed about collecting doctor's notes. Are we still obligated to collect them before the game for when they check equipment?
That's a good question. When I first started, that was my understanding, but then we actually looked it up, and there is nothing necessary for us to collect or even see. Basically, if we basically take it on the honor system. They say he's got a doctor's note, that's on them if they're lying to us.
All right, thank you.
With regard to visors, because kids will say they have a doctor's note for a tinted visor.
Doesn't matter.
Doctor's note doesn't matter. All visors have to be clear.
Yep. Amen to that. And that is one of those black and white that we all in the MDAO or otherwise need to be on the same page and catch that during warmups. Take care of that during warmups if at all possible.
Please, let's get it in weeks 1 and 2, so we don't have frustrated coaches in weeks 7 and 8. And it's an easy one. I mean, I feel so much better after being at the meeting and just turning it to the sideline. You got to get that fixed. When you're ready, you can play, but there's no hard feelings. There's nothing about your shirt. There's nothing about your jersey. Just go fix it, and then you can play football with all the other young men and girls that are doing following the rules. So if we can get them early, make it non-emotional, then I think we all stand to be in a better place mid-season with coaches and continuity.
Knee pads too. Get that early.
Yeah, knee pads. Sorry. Yeah.
Both. Yep. Bob Foss, got anything else?
Nothing
Tony?
else.
No, I'm good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tony.
Have a great season, guys.
All right.
You're staying on, Shane?
Yeah, I'm staying on. I will, for those who want a brief reminder, or if you've never been taught or shown where to go to take care of your business, quote unquote, for football postseason stuff, I'll log on and do that. Oh, we have a quick question for next meeting date. As a reminder, the next meeting date is Tuesday, September 12th. Right now, we have that planned as our test review. That's Tuesday, September 12th, 6:30 p.m. Right now, we have it in at the Little Theater in person at Groves. That might change. Watch for updates for some reason if we decided to have that go virtual. But again, Metro Detroit Athletic Officials.com. Long, but it's easy to remember. It's under meetings and events. Information has all been updated. So again, for those of you who are logging off, I appreciate you logging on right now. For those who want to stay on, I'll wait about 30 seconds, let people log off as I transition to sharing screen. And good luck for first games this week, everyone.
Hi, guys. Good luck.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good luck.
Shane, have you seen the new dashboard on MHSA.com?
Ooh, new dashboard. I'm not.
I saw it was there today, and then I asked Ryan a question, and the next thing it's gone. He said, "I'll ask our IT guys." It basically shows like all of your eligibility across, like what you still need to do, all in one little thing, where it's got the check mark X or a red X next to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, no, I haven't. Well, you know what? Let's see if it's back up there. But no, I didn't catch it this morning. So real quick, let me go here. Let me log off. Let me just 1 second. By the way, if you hear anything in the background, that are that is 2/3 of my children, you know, taking care of business in Fortnite. So with that said, I'll talk louder. Okay, so everybody should be seeing my screen. This is MHSAA.com. All right. Now I'm going to show you two quick things. First of all, I'll show you the sports specific page content that you don't necessarily need to be logged in for. But if you go to officials up here, and again, notice I'm not logged in yet. So anybody can go to this. You can go to officials. You can go to sports specific content. You can pick your sports. Keep this click process in mind if you do basketball or any other sports. You click to football, and this is where you have all this wonderful sports specific information. How to write an incident report, a ratings card if you want like to be able to print those off, and you should really be trying to print those off for the coaches. The manual, if you've ever wondered, you know, where to go for that, the mechanics manual, all that information is on here under the officials, and then sports specific content, and then you're here. Now here, it will show all of this information. Now, all of this information right here, these links for postseason content, you have to be logged in to access. So if you're not yet logged in, like I'm not, you'll have to log in after you click one of these things. Now I'm just going to click availability and conflicts, and it'll take you here. You type in the email that you registered with the MHSAA. Then you type in your password and you log on, and it'll take you to the page that you went to before. Now, another way to go to it is the main page, the MHSAA page. You log in. This, and then you go to login. All right. And now you're in. And you notice that it doesn't say log anymore, it says My MHSAA. What you do is you click My MHSAA tools, and you have to go one more time, click here. Now here's all the things that you can do and all the options you can take care of.
You go to official services first.
Yeah. Yep, you go to official services through here. So it's a little different. You can go to officials, and then sports specific page, and then you can kind of get through to your specific information there through a login, or you can just log in off the main screen, click My MHSAA a few times, select the official services, and go to here. So a few different things to keep in mind. The exams, I haven't yet taken the postseason exam yet, and so it's going to still say that I have 0 of 2 opportunities to be considered for the semifinal and pass that, or excuse me, quarterfinals and pass that. You have to take this and pass it at least once with 80% or higher score. Now, let's say you're a first or second year official and you're like, I'm not worried. I don't think I'm going to make the quarters or anything like that. I'm not going to do it. I think it's more important for you to do that. You will learn so much by digging into the rule book and taking the tests. So period dot, take this, take it once. We'll talk about, you know, those questions at the meeting September 12th. That's always a good discussion. if you go to your schedule here right now, I kind of have it set up for basketball to enter basketball, but you select the sport that you want to enter the game in, and you just got to enter the game. You type in the contest, like maybe you're working a game this Thursday, you select the date, it's a single game. The host, maybe you're at, I'm going to make it up, maybe you're at Brother Rice. You just got to start to type in the school name, and usually the site's gotten pretty good at it. It will pre-populate the name. Oh, that is where it is being played. That is the home team. So you do that. Maybe the visitor is, I'm just going to make it up. Let's see. We're doing Delta Prep. That's who they're playing. And I happen to be the referee for that game. Now, the zone, you have to select the zone that you officiate in or that you're from. For the vast majority of us, we're all going to be zone 3. What you can do is you can click zone 3, but you can click save zone, because wherever you live, that's pretty much the zone you're going to, be from. So you can click save zone, and then for every contest you enter in, you can click that. You don't have to re-click it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click save. This game is wrong. I am not really working this game. This is a made-up game. But I just entered it into the MHSAA system. Oh, no. Well, fortunately, what you can do is you can submit the contest, and now it's listed right there. Maybe the visitor team changed. Maybe Detroit Delta Prep didn't want to go play Brother Rice, but a different team's coming in. You can either go in and edit it and change things. Maybe you were the referee, but now you're the line judge. You can change that around and resubmit the contest, and all that information has been updated. But maybe the game got canceled. No problem. You just go in here and you delete the game, and now it's gone. Some people might have their full schedule already in Arbiter. Some people might know they have a game that they're working for a particular conference, but that conference hasn't loaded that game up into the Arbiter yet. You can load the game up after you work the game. You can load it up the day before the game, the day of the game. Basically, whenever you get the information, you can load it up into the system. Just keep in mind that Arbiter doesn't talk to the MHSAA page when you're adding in your schedule. So you pretty much gotta type it in manual. For basketball, that can be a lot more painful. For football, usually you're only typing in, 10 to 15 games or however many you're working. Okay. A few other things. Rules meeting. Go here. We all should. And if we don't, stop and do it tonight. Take care of it, because if you want to work a game, you got to have both of these things viewed. You want to view the rules meeting that Will gave at the association meeting, and also the rules meeting prerequisite. That's the non-sports rule meeting. So even if you're not working football, but you're working basketball, you're going to have to take that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
If
go
they're
back
under,
again. Where was that again?
Right here. So this will say officials rules meeting prerequisite and football officials rules meeting right here. Now for me, it says completed view certificate. If you really did watch it and the system registered that you watched it, it should have this completed and view certificate. Now, maybe you say, but I was at Groves, I handed in my sheet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mistakes happen. Maybe yours is the one piece of paper that got misplaced. The point I'm trying to emphasize is, though, is don't take it for granted. Go look at the rules meeting, make sure that it's here, that it's completed, and view certificate, and you could
Yes.
use your certificate.
Yes, that's fine. Just okay. So if you go back one, I don't know how to get to that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
There.
So if after having logged in, you clicked on MHSAA, it's
Yep.
going to say football. Let me go to available.
you're already under rules meeting, so
Yeah, it will be here, rules meeting.
Rules meeting. Okay.
Yep, right here. Good question.
And if
So-
if it's under your videos, it's mandatory. If it says other videos, it's optional.
Right, so let me show that real quick. So if you're here, rules meeting, you'll have all these other things. Football coaches rules meeting, which you can watch. You're just not required. But if it's a requirement for you for the sport or sports that you're registered in, it will actually be separated up here in this box, letting you know that you have to watch these. It won't be buried in the full list. So good questions. All right. So real quick, I just also want to show you availabilities and conflicts. This is that page. And again, right now, this is for football. And again, if you happen to do both football and football 8-man, you have to make sure that you enter in everything, both different dates. Because I know a lot of people for like basketball, there's a boys basketball and a girls basketball, and they let everybody know what their availability was for like girls basketball, but they didn't know they had to change the drop-down box and update their availability for boys basketball as well. And they didn't get any boys games for the postseason because they didn't also include their availability for boys and girls. I believe it's the same way for football and 8-person football, that you have to make yourself available for everything. And then you just go in here, you say available, available. My kid goes to Bloomfield Hills High School. And so if you have a conflict of interest, punch it in there. And if you're like, I'm not really sure if that's a conflict of interest or not, like, maybe I graduated from that high school, but I graduated 4 or 5 years ago. Put it in. Better safe than sorry, kind of a thing. And then even if you get assigned that game and maybe you're with the good crew and maybe it's not expected to be a close game, you can always have a conversation with the MHSAA and say, hey, listen, I put this in, I got assigned this game. You can double check with them, make sure that it doesn't give them any heartburn either about it. But you can go here, available. I'm just going to do this because I'm thinking of it. And then you can click save and all that's updated. And it will always give you a green screen with a little thumbs up to let you know that your changes took.
Hey, Shane?
Yeah.
If you go in the chat, you can scroll up. I put a screen print of that dashboard that I was talking about. I think they're still fooling with it, but I saw it today, obviously, because I took the screen grab.
Yep. No, I haven't seen that yet. So where Mike would see this is, let's go to the main page here. And after you click My MHSAA, you click My MHSAA Tools. Here, it looks like it would be here, your MHSAA officials dashboard. It'd be kind of down here. And that looks like a very nice dashboard. And I hope they get it. I hope they get it working.
Yeah, well, the reason why I sent him an email is because I finished the exam, but it had a red X next to it. I'm like, hey, I took the exam.
Right. So, and I don't know, like, how often do they update that? Like, is it a data dump where once a week they move everything over from one system to another, and then the dashboard gets updated? But clearly, they're still working out some kinks.
Right.
So, yeah.
But it's pretty cool. It's really good for crew chiefs.
It'll be nice. So I do see a couple questions piling up. I want to just kind of show you a few more things under official services. So we looked over at exams, availability and conflicts, member in good standing. That's where you would click to make sure that you're a member in good standing with at least one approved local association in the sport that you're working. And once we send out that email later this week or early next week, hey, MIGS has been updated. This is how you would look that up. And you've got to make sure that you're MIGS with someone, us or some other local association for football. Schedule football position. This is unique to football. What's your primary position that you work? Is it 11 or is it 8-person football? And then what's your alternate position? That's a kind of an easy one, but don't let that one, slip. See ratings, member in good standing, crews. Mike, or excuse me, Tony, anything for a crew chief?
Well, the crew chiefs would put in their guys for their crew, just
Right.
the crew chief.
Right. So
Otherwise, you just need to make sure everybody else has their business taken care of, and sometimes that's easier said than done because people think they have it taken care of, but they don't.
Hey, Shane, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Couple guys called me today, crew chiefs. They put their crew in last year and it's the same this year. Do they have to do anything to upgrade it or no?
Put it in again.
They will have to put it in again because if you see here, this is updated for 23, 24.
Everything's cleared out, just like the schedules.
Yep.
So it does not care. It's not grandfathered. You got to redo it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now here, I did not enter this information. My crew chief entered this information, but I can go and I can see that my crew chief did enter this and I'm part of this I'm considered part of this crew. So, so that's one for the crew chiefs. Rules mean I showed that. Officials directory, that's how you can look up other officials, IDs, and all that kind of stuff. Availabilities and conflicts, football position, member in good standing.
Let's see your ratings. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I don't have enough time for therapy.
Right.
We'll keep that one off the internet. So that I think is pretty much everything that I want to see. Let me go through a couple quick questions. How do we get credit for this meeting? That's from Donna. Donna, by you asking that question, I know you've logged on, but basically I asked everybody at the very beginning of the meeting, type in your name and your officiating ID. We can download the chat and just kind of do a quick little attendance that way. But again, when in doubt, we work with you. So for example, this is being recorded. And in fact, if you're one of those people who are watching on YouTube right now, and it's tomorrow, you can just say, hey, Shane, sorry, send me a quick email. Sorry, I couldn't make it, but I did watch it on YouTube. Thanks very much for doing that. We work with you. How do you view the test questions? Okay, great question. So if you go to exams, and if I click this little green dot, which I'm not going to do, it starts an exam. And then you got to take that exam. If you just want to see the questions, you would go to officials, sports specific content, football, and
right there, second one under availability and conflict.
Right here. And this is the PDF version. Now, if you're like, the MHSAA website, so confusing, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you go to Metro Detroit Athletic Officials, and you go to football, and you go to postseason test 2023, I have it hyperlinked to the exact same page. So that's how, if you you can print this off as a PDF, you're not, taking one of your two cracks at it. And this is usually what I do. I print it off and I do my notes and I look up in the rule book. And then after like the meeting on the 12th and, we talk about it, that's usually when I go in and enter in all my answers. That's another good question.
Shane, I have a quick question. Last night I was messing around and I actually did the managed crew thing, not our crew chief. Does he have to go back in there now, do it when he logs in?
I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe not.
Does it only take one of us from the crew to do it?
Yeah, you might have to just double check with him, make sure that he knows you did that and that it's all, squared away. But I think as long as you have a crew in there, because you'll notice on mine, I had a specific crew number 2092, all that kind of stuff. Just make sure he's aware and make sure that it is accurate. And that's maybe one thing he doesn't have to take care of. Support specific content. Okay. Okay. I have a red banner that states you are not registered for any sports with tournaments. Is this due to me not viewing the videos? Probably not. You might, I'm not 100% sure, and we can talk offline about it, but you might not technically be registered for football or for a sport that has a tournament. it would not be just because you haven't viewed the videos. So feel free to email Ryan at mhsaa.com. If I remember right, that is it's literally just Ryan, RYAN, at mhsaa.com, and he can help kind of verify, oh, you're not registered or you are. Or you can actually go into, officials directory, and if if you log in there and you look yourself up and it's not showing that you're registered in football or something, that's going to kind of answer your question. Then you got to kind of figure it out. Wait a second, I thought I did register. I thought I did send in my check, or maybe I didn't. And they can all you can then work with the MHSA directly on that. Good question. Okay. And there's some other good stuff on here. For example, there was a rules bulletin that just came out for 2023. Normally, this is where they would be. Will and others would load it up here on the website, and all the officials rules bulletins that get sent out periodically through the season, like, hey, everybody, looking great. As a reminder, we're seeing this. Here's the rules reference, tighten it up kind of stuff. You'll either get that from the MHSA directly via your email, but again, for some reason you miss it, your email. This is where they should be. Tony, anything I'm missing? Bob, any other common frequently asked questions you might be getting? Some good 40-second play clock resources. A lot of this stuff we also have hyperlinked to our website, but not all of it. So
there's lots of good resources out there. Referee.com is also a good resource if for various things. In fact, a lot of those rules questions came from referee.com.
I sent that one just to Mike. Okay. Well, if there's not any other questions or anything else for the good of the group, again, you guys are the ones getting better. You logged on, and for those of you who are watching tomorrow or the next day on YouTube, I appreciate you logging in and watching it and yourselves getting better. And if you're watching this and it's not Thursday yet or Friday, good luck for those of us who have games this week. And we'll catch you September 12th to talk about the rules test.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Shane.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Shane. Good job. Appreciate it.
Yep, you too. Bye.